Cheers, everybody. It's Friday, February 18th, jumping a month ahead for everybody. And this is an AMA. My name is Kevin Murcko. I'm CEO here at Coinmetro. You ask questions on a Friday. I answer questions on a Friday. Sometimes I answer them on Saturdays or Sundays on Telegram if I can't answer them on Friday. But hopefully we'll get through all the questions. Got a little tea. Make sure my voice doesn't get hoarse as I answer all these questions. So let's see what happens. We're on LinkedIn and Facebook again today. So I think we haven't been on LinkedIn for a while, but Facebook, we used to be on Facebook, then Facebook changed, I don't know, their APIs or something, and we weren't on Facebook for a while, but we're back. First question of the day here from ML, how you doing? I'm doing all right, doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. I'm a pretty baseline type of person, so usually pretty good on a day-to-day basis. Congrats on the new XCM all-time high. We are getting closer and closer to that beard coming off. Yep. Yes, we are, and closer to me not getting divorced, so that's a good thing. Hey, Ken, how are you? Ken's hoping for $1 finally, and then holding. All right, well, I think we're all on the same page with you, Ken. Absolutely. We are getting there. We are getting close. Ken coming up with a question. Where is Coinmetro at with the development of account performance tracking UI, UX? I know any coin move to Coinmetro has the issue of a buy price, but why not make that editable? Yeah, making it editable is kind of what most platforms do, whether that be something like block fills or the like. It's a bit of a sloppy interface. We'd much rather have something that made it a bit easier to track and also legitimate to track. Why legitimate? Well, as we are a regulated enterprise, as we become more regulated, we do want to try and help people with their tax filings, etc. And to do that, if we allow people to put the price they bought in at, they can simply deposit Bitcoin and say that they bought it in at today's price and thus have no real capital gains due. Now, we're not here to police. We're not the tax authority, but we do want to make sure that when that reporting is pulled from the platform, that it is respected by any authority that it may be given to by the client as being legitimate. And so that makes it a bit difficult to do that. Plus, doing so actually solidifies us as a wallet provider. In reality, we obviously have wallets. We do give wallets to clients. They need to deposit their crypto in order to be able to sell it on the exchange, for example. But we don't actually provide wallet services. And because of that, we are not obligated to do some filings that we would otherwise be obligated to do if we were a wallet provider. So there's a few things that don't necessarily have to do with development. Having said that, I do think that we will be refocusing on this type of UI UX as we roll out the new version of the dashboard, et cetera. And that's coming between now and literally the end of the year. There will be updates with the dashboard with really cool new asset drill down pages, et cetera. So as those things come out, we'll be refocusing back on feature sets of the entire kind of UI UX experience. Hey, Harold, how are you? Can we get KDA added to the Twitter sentiment bot? It's not there? I'm pretty sure it's there. I'm going to have to check now. So give me a second. I'm pretty sure I saw it as having the highest sentiment on at least a few days. Maybe I'm hallucinating. So let me make sure. Actually, you know what? Rather than doing it like this, since we're just going to use the app, why not use the app? I mean, come on. Let's see. So is it here? Maybe it isn't. You're right. I don't see it either. That's odd because I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it. I might be crazy though. So we'll take a look at that, Justin. That's thanks for pointing that out. Happy Friday, Kevin. HFK to you too. Hike the mic. What's the best and worst cultural thing you encountered living in Europe versus, I guess that's North America, NA, or not applicable? So, and anywhere else, I guess. The worst cultural thing. I mean, by and large, you'd have to define culture. Being an American, when you travel around the world, people generally tell you that Americans have no culture, which is asinine depending on how you define the word culture, right? If the word culture is just defined as kind of how the past dictates, who people are, every country has culture. If you're talking about going to the opera and enjoying fine wines and et cetera, et cetera. Well, yeah, then the majority of the U.S. might not be cultured, but the country definitely has culture, just like every country does. So I don't know. I don't know if I can answer this question, because the worst cultural thing I've definitely seen in many different countries, just traveling to different countries, how cultural norms are completely destroyed. Like, so one country's cultural norms in another country are, destroyed, or people think they're offensive, or people get very emotional about different cultural norms for different countries. And I think, those things are usually easily spotted. Sometimes they're, religious based. Burqas are one, we've seen in France, for example, where burqa laws, can't wear burqas, etc. And obviously that's quite offensive to a very large swath of the world population, and definitely probably a pretty bad cultural rift. But yeah, you have to refine that question a bit. I've seen some weird shit, I guess I'll put it that way, but not necessarily living in Europe or North America, but just traveling around to different spots. Sounds okay. Thanks, gents. Appreciate that. Hey, Kevin, hope you had a great week. XCM definitely had. Yeah, XCM is doing well. That's true. Do we need some fiat on our CM accounts for the opportunity on Sunday? The opportunity. Yes, opportunity is a knocking. Actually, this particular opportunity that you're going to be hearing about on Sunday is XCM based. So you need some XCM on your account, not necessarily fiat. But it's never a bad idea to have fiat on an exchange account, guys. You never know when you might be, when you need some money to buy the dip, or FOMO into the highest, the all-time high. I mean, those are two common things you do in crypto. So I actually had 2 bullet points I needed to mention. One of them is specifically what you're talking about. So I'm not going to spill the beans entirely, but yeah, make sure you're on Discord. Make sure you have your account connected on Sunday. If you're an XCM holder, this is probably going to interest you. It's a unique, it'll be a unique opportunity to add some additional utility to maybe some of that XCM you may be holding, and maybe even solidify your relationship with the company. That's about as far as I'll go as a hint, but it's coming. I have another thing to mention as well on bullet point, but I'll mention it in a bit. It's about promotional offer on deposits, which is something I don't think we've ever done before. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Do you think the Canadian government blocking the participants of the trucker protest from using any centralized financial services will be positive for the adoption of decentralized crypto services? Well, I think it's definitely not going to be positive for the Canadian government. It's amazing how the progression of events over the last 2 or 3 years, COVID, has led us to the point where a Western government has decided that they are limiting access to financial services to people who are doing something that is protected under the very laws of the country. Protest. Whether you agree or don't agree with the protesters, whether you agree or don't agree with, even if you agree with what they're protesting, but maybe you don't agree with how they're doing it, or maybe you don't agree with either. I think you, as just a human being, you probably have to agree that why should one thing affect the other? They're not criminals. Now, there may be, a couple criminals mixed into the batch. I mean, that's no matter where you go. If you're at the supermarket today, there's probably a criminal there somewhere, depending on how you define the word criminal. But I think it's this whole last 2 or 3 years, whether it be COVID, whether it be restrictions, whether it be people locked in their houses, whether it be people not being able to travel, whether it be people realizing how much control one centralized agency may have over their lives. I think all that starts to change the way people think about things. And eventually people will start to realize that a lot of the things that they generally took for granted before as being freedoms can actually potentially just be taken away because one group decides they don't like it. And well, I hate to say it, but you're seeing why most, democracy sounds really great on paper, but in reality, voting people in to make decisions that can affect your life, not really the best solution either. I'm not saying I have a better one. Don't ask me. The next question is what's better than democracy? I really can't answer that question, unfortunately. And that's not my game. But all systems are flawed, I guess. So yeah, I think in an abstract way, it may push people. Well, definitely anyone that has their money in the centralized, Canadian banking system right now, probably taking a look at some decentralized solutions. for sure. But I think in an abstract way, it's going to get people to think just about the way that these centralized organizations in general, governments particularly, have so much control over people's lives, and whether they think that's just, and did they actually vote for that? Did they vote to put someone in office that would do something like this? I think that's the big takeaway. When is the €1 party? Hey, Darko. When we sustain €1, I guess that's a pretty easy question. Thanks for that. It's Friday. I like it. Nice haircut. Thanks, Ken. Haircut, singular. I just want to post that out. Haircut. Is CM headquarters a real place or a rendition? Rendition. It's not a render or a rendition. No, this is real. See, look, I'll give you. I don't know if you can hear this. You guys hear this? So all these different. When I just knocked something on the ground here. What is this? This is a pin. This is a funny one, actually. Here we go. You guys will like this one. This says, my level of sarcasm is based on your level of stupidity. So you guys, you can meme the shit out of this if you like. But it's a good thing to live by, I think, sometimes. Put that back. All right, forget it. But yeah, it's real. It's real. It's not a render or a rendition of any shape or any shape. I guess any shape, that works. Hey, Kevin, you mentioned maybe to spill a few beans on new tokenomics and XDMA. Was that today? Or maybe something I was dreaming. You might have been dreaming, gents, or I might have forgot. I might have early onset Alzheimer's. What did I just say? But I don't, wait, what? So anyway, I can spill a little bit of beans maybe. So we're working on stuff. And what we initially were going to put into tokenomics 1.0 and then 2.0, and then I guess 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, we're trying to come out with a slightly bigger bang, which to be honest was already mind blowing, as you guys know from a few AMAs ago, but we're trying to pack in a bit more. And so those are the beans I'll drop. Beans. I like beans. I am Mexican, so, you know. Anyway, there's a cultural rift for you. And where will the party be? How about at your house, Harold? You know, why not? I'm sure you have a patio or something. You got a barbecue, you got like a little grill or something. We can do a little barbecue. Are you worried about the U.S. The U.S.'s hedge money? Have you started learning Mandarin yet? No, I haven't started learning Mandarin. Or Clemente, or what do you call those other little orange-looking things? Tangerine. No, I haven't learned Mandarin yet. I'd love to learn Mandarin, but yeah, I'm not sure that I can actually do it at this stage of my life. But I would love to. If I could wake up tomorrow and speak any language, a list of languages that I wanted to, it would be on the list. So am I worried? No, you know what? I'm not worried. I'm usually never worried. I don't worry about much things. You know why? Because it's meaningless to worry. If you fear something may happen, then you should be making a plan to evade what might happen, or you should be pondering how potentially you're going to be flexible enough to be able to deal with whatever may happen. Worrying about it is just waste of energy. So no, I'm not worried. And I wouldn't suggest anyone else be. It's not in the drop-down menu. Yeah, you're right, Justin. It's not. So I verified that with my own 2 LASIK surgeried eyes. Surgeried? That's not a word. LASIK operated eyes? I don't know if that's even grammatically correct, but we're going to go with it. So yeah, you're right. It's not there. I thought I saw it. I swear to God, I thought I saw it a couple of weeks ago as the most trending asset. Actually, it was stuck, I think, for a few weeks, because we had to update the API. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody will back me up on that one. Are there any new offerings on the horizon for CM's invest platform you can tell us about? No, there is licensing obligations coming in November. We were initially looking at acquiring EU licensing, including this crowdfunding license this year. But events from the end of last year and growth is now making us focus more on US licensing. So we'll have to see if come November, we might have to put a pause on the Invest platform until we acquire that license. You're going to have to ask about that, though, on a weekly basis, because that's a dynamic one. It may change. Will there be possible ICO new coin lists in Coinmetro we can buy at very low? So I guess you mean, IEO, so initial exchange offerings. I think, I don't see that going away. I mentioned that for me, still, one of the biggest innovations so far in crypto was ICO. That's initial coin offering. For those that don't know, that's like an IPO, initial public offering, like you'd have on a stock exchange. All it means is this is the first time the public can buy something on a marketplace. The difference being is that with IPOs, usually the big boys get in first, and then underwrite, and then make a ton of money on the IPO. ICOs, the initial ICOs, were all public. There was nobody whitelisting in initially, and then it got a bit VC-ish and kind of changed a little bit, which was kind of sad to see. But I don't think that type of fundraising is going anywhere. It's seen a few twerks and IEO, IDO, EIEIO. Farmer had a cow or something. You ever sing that song to your kids? Anybody have kids that sing that song? Kids songs are amazing, aren't they? I always wonder, like, who writes these songs, and why don't I do this for a living? Or like children's books. You ever read a children's book? That's like 14 pages. There's 3 words on every page. You could sit down 15 minutes on the toilet and might knock out like 3-4 books. I always thought maybe I should do that because it seems pretty easy. But I'd probably get bored though. And I don't know if kids would generally want to read the thoughts that come out of my head. In fact, maybe they would, but their parents wouldn't want them to. Anyway, going off on tangents is something I do sometimes. So there's one. So yeah, there probably will be ICOs or IEOs or IE whatevers or IO whatever O's coming to Coinmetro at some point in the future. I don't see that going away from the industry at all. That is one of the biggest innovations that this industry has come up with. It's not going anywhere. It's going to morph. It's going to change. But I do think we will see some in the future. Not the immediate future because we don't have anything on our roadmap currently. Any thoughts on Oasis Network? Rose? I don't actually. You have to DM me on Telegram. I was going to say on Discord. I still haven't found my groove on Discord yet. I'm trying, guys. I'll get there. Did you shave your head? Didn't you? There's still, it's like one hair kind of. It's like if you took one long hair and just cut it up into maybe 500, 600 pieces and then glued each one back to the top of your head. That's what I call a haircut. So not completely shaved, but it's close. I'm getting there. I told my wife I was just going to shave it all off. She said, no. She said, shave the beard, don't shave the head. So I did exactly the opposite because that's what stupid husbands do most of the time for some reason. I don't know why we do this, but so I shaved the head and left the beard. Oh, well. Is money underrated? Musk and Bezos seem pretty happy. Well, I would imagine that when you delve into their lives, they're not as happy as you may think they are. I'm not anywhere near, as wealthy as Bezos or Musk, and don't really care to be honest. On paper wealth is, who fucking gives a shit? I can say shit on it. Fuck is kind of too much. As who gives a shit, to be honest, about wealth on paper? But they obviously have wealth off of paper, that's for sure. Though if you read the story about Musk, you'll know that for much of his wealthy life, he was broke because he reinvested all his money into his own ideas, which, to be honest, is kind of insane, but is one of the reasons why I kind of like the guy. Money is overrated, I think, in many ways, but you need money to survive, right? Everybody has this certain threshold. Once they reach, they think they're going to feel, secure. But trust me, when you get there, most people are like, well, if I only had this now, it would make me feel much better. If I only had this. And then you have all these other complications like taxes and changing in laws. And imagine having all your wealth in Cyprus back in the day, and they did the Cyprus haircut. You lost 30 to 80% of it overnight because, well, the government didn't have any money. They just take it from you. I think money is overrated. But unfortunately, the world we live in, you need money. So the question is, will money make you happy? No, it won't. Money doesn't make you happy. But things that you can acquire with money can make some people happy. And I would say the comfort that knowing that you can buy things with the money makes other people happy. Feeling, secure, financially secure, let's say. If the Canadian government asked CM to cut off users, where does CM stand on that demand? What would you tell them? Hey, Ken, well, I'd love to say like we would be like, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Terminator or something. Actually, that's probably a bad analogy because that would be what? I'll be back. That wouldn't make any sense. Maybe Bruce Willis in Die Hard. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. I don't know what we would actually say, but the point is that we are registered with FinTrack in Canada. And that means that if the Canadian government came and said we had to do something, there's not much room we could do to fight it, to be honest, unfortunately. That is the one, I think, major difference, obviously, between purely decentralized systems and centralized systems. The problem is that under the current laws, pretty much everywhere in the world, purely decentralized systems aren't compliant. So eventually there will be a day of reckoning, and there has been some small days of reckoning here and there. So, it depends on how that came. If it came with, a cease and desist order, we would probably potentially try and dig for some information and see if we could, maybe sidestep or not have to provide information. But if it's an informational request from a judge, then we have no choice. Being a regulated entity, we have to provide that information. So I'm not sure exactly how this kind of mandate has been laid down. We have not been contacted, so can't really comment on that entirely. When do you think you'll get higher leverage on margin? Probably in line with the release of margin beta. Can you give a shout out to Donald? Truth. Donald only speaks truth as far as he's aware. I think, though, somebody gave him a dictionary where truth and absolute bullshit was somehow mixed up. But, it's not his fault. He didn't print the dictionary. Somebody just gave him a bad version, So, yeah, shout out to Donald and his kind of, inane nonsense. So shout out to Donald. Fast food restaurant, Wendy's versus Burger King. Ugh, Jesus. So obviously I'm vegan, if you don't know, Harry. Been vegan for 9 years. Long story behind that one. Not going to go into it unless you ask nicely. But my favorite so between Wendy's and Burger King, when I used to eat dead, rotting flesh, I would say, I don't know, man, probably, Burger King is kind of everywhere and Wendy's isn't. So I'd probably go with Wendy's just because, you can't get Wendy's everywhere. Not that it's necessarily, I remember my mom used to eat Wendy's chili. I remember she spilled it one time in the gearbox of the car. And I swear to God, for about 18 years, that car smelled horrible. Anyway, hey, Kevin, great to hear that you've contacted EncryptGen for staking DNA and details, but who's first? Yeah, well, since DNA is in its infancy in terms of what we would do, because we don't even know what we would do together, how it would work, VSP is probably going to be first, I would imagine. Would you recommend someone who is interested in crypto to also take a look at Forex markets with your experience from FXPig? Or are these markets way too different to attract the same kind of people? Well, I would say if you can trade, fake Versace jeans at a swap meet, then you probably can trade anything. So there's these ideas in people's heads that, I came from equities, so this is a different world to me. Or I used to trade FX, and trading is trading. Volatility is volatility. Now, you may come from a market with less volatility, but all markets become volatile at some point. I mean, the NASDAQ, Dow, FTSE, CAC, Nikkei have all shown us that over the course of COVID. I mean, who thought we were going to see meme stocks? So, volatility is everywhere. Doesn't mean it's the same level of volatility, but you have different caveats in different markets. In equities, fundamentals are, reports that are released. They are job reports. They are the company releasing their financials. They are shareholder calls, blah, 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 blah. And in crypto, the fundamentals are, if Elon Musk wakes up at 3 a.m. and decides that he's going to buy Shiba Inu, and that becomes somehow a fundamental thing in crypto. So if you understand how to trade and you understand whether you're a technical trader, whether you're a fundamentalist, or whether you're both, or whether you're none of the above, you should be able to trade any market if you know how to trade. If you trade in one market and fail in another, I hate to say this to you, but it's probably because you're not a trader. It's because you just either got lucky, have a system that only works in some specific type of market setting, et cetera, et cetera. I've met a lot of people over the years that are really good at range trading, but they can't trade a breakout to save their lives. So they always lose all their money when there's a breakout. They're in the range. They're like, oh man, I'm up 30% this month, dude. I'm up 70% this week. And then there's a breakout, and I don't hear from them for 8 months because they had to go back and live with their mother. And then you have guys that are really good at trading breakouts. But when it's in a ranging market, yeah, homeless, literally under a street corner with a sign that says, "I'll give you some tips for a sandwich." So, at the end of the day, I think you can glean evidence. You can get experience from any market. And I wouldn't necessarily say you have to trade more market stuff. If you're a speculative trader looking to make decent gains, all you really need is crypto, to be honest. You don't really need to do anything else. If you're just a guy that's interested in trading, Forex is an interesting market. Forex is a market that isn't necessarily hype driven, but the fundamentals can be pretty weird with currencies because they're political more than anything else. Can you predict the future of Flux? Well, it'll probably be in flux for some time and then fluctuate up to higher fluxations. I don't know. I tried to continue to use the word flux. Got difficult there, guys. I like Flux. They have a unique wallet system. They're having, they're looking to get more and more partnerships. They have people on the team that are passionate, that know what they're doing. They have a lot of the things they need to succeed. So I own Flux, just to let everybody know. I'm not going to do the old McAfee and try and sound like I'm shilling something and not tell everybody that I own some of it. So I own it. It's not the biggest thing in my portfolio, but it's not the smallest either. What do you think of Austria canceling mandatory vaccines? Was it just fear-mongering strategy to fill the pockets of big pharma? Yeah, I don't know how deep down the rabbit hole on this one I want to go. What I will say is, if I hear "follow the science" one more time, I'm gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Actually, that was like a veiled threat, but I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna go nuts. I think insane. Remember, guys, that science is based on educated guessing. Right, that is the basis of everything we know about how our universe functions. Is some smart asshole made a guess, and then a couple other smart assholes were like, "Yeah, that sounds like it could be accurate," and that's it. Most hypotheses are never actually proven. So we are following a bunch of guesses, is what basically we've been doing. And that, if you think about it that way, it makes a lot of sense. That's why they've been wrong over and over and over and over again. Not to mention that, wouldn't you think, I see people quoting, back when the flu epidemic, what was it, 1918 or whatever it was. And they talk about people wearing masks back then. Yeah, you know what else people did in 1918? Should we still be doing everything they did back in 1918, especially when it comes to science? Science has evolved a lot since 1918, a lot. We've gotten better at guessing. So, I think it's inevitable at some point that there has to be someone who starts something and then somehow, I don't know, the science changes. So it's surprising to me that Austria was the first, but there's probably reasons behind that. They probably had either a very high vaccination rate or a low, or one that was stagnant. If you're at 70% or 60% and no one's going to get vaccines, then why would you continue to spend money to try to people to get the vaccine? You just stop, especially when you start to see hospitalization rates fall off, et cetera. It's not science. It's business. It's money. It's about, protection. Everything comes down, unfortunately, to one way, shape, or form, to economics. And math is probably the most exact science we have. Okay, moving on. You said twice that VSP pools or IQ Pro can be used to make Quant or any other asset, used to stake Quant, or any other asset on Coinmetro. Can you do it without Quant, for example, being part of the process? That one went over my head, I think, hereby. If you're asking if we can use VSP pools or IQ protocol to stake VSP or IQ, yes, or anything else, yes. Quant was an example. So the idea is, the Quant staking doesn't exist anywhere, right? So it was just an example. Neither does it. Well, XCM staking exists with us, but it's not really monetized yet. So what I was saying is that an asset that doesn't have staking, either protocol-based or treasury-based or whatever, there's no opportunity to stake anywhere. We could potentially use pools or lending through these protocols to provide staking and passive income opportunities for all assets, regardless of whether they actually have some type of underlying protocol-based staking. Any solutions or suggestions to governments freezing accounts? Solution: don't have any government connected accounts. That's also a suggestion, I guess. We are a centralized exchange. I do believe that the only way to make a change is to do it from the inside. I say this a lot. I'll say it again, Henrik, in case you never heard me say it. You'll probably hear me say it more than once if you watch the show again. And that's that it's much easier to make a change from the inside than the outside. When you're inside, you can change one person's mind and you can effectuate change, big change. When you're from the outside, you have to change a lot of minds so that the people inside take notice. So if we are a DeFi, regulation doesn't touch us, we're awesome type of company, I guess I wouldn't exist, because how could you have a CEO of a decentralized company? But anyway, point is that we would have to change the minds of literally millions and millions and millions and millions and maybe even billions of people for anybody on the inside to actually take notice. But if you're inside the room of, the 10 people who make the decision, then, well, much easier to change somebody's mind. So, solution is get away from centralized accounts. That's the solution. It's not that easy to do, though, by the way. For Coinmetro, and it's also risky. For the Coinmetro headquarters, I meant that the picture that used in ads and recently in the Discord contest, that huge building. Yeah, that's where our office is. So there's, if you notice on that picture, there is like an old school level of the building, nice, like made out of stone and whatnot. And then there's like a glass tower. So yeah, we are right below the glass tower inside that building. So yeah, that's legitimate. For the first time, one of Ignium's issuing companies, Coinmetro, received monthly payback rewards in the amount of 3.5x its monthly participation cost. That is a mouthful. Can you explain this? Thanks. There's enough words there that it should be self-explanatory, I think. Let me break it down. So on Ignium, for those who don't know, is a depository of sorts. Basically, you can create and issue digital equity or digital debt on the Ignium platform. You can manage your cap table digitally. Like cap table meaning if you have a business, you have investors, that's your capital table, that's your cap table. You can manage that digitally instead of like in an Excel spreadsheet, which is really advantageous if you've done crowdfunding and have 1,000 shareholders. Much easier to manage. Also run options programs, all kinds of cool stuff. Check it out, ignium.io. Anyway, so Ignium, we have our bonds, our Coinmetro bonds, trading on Ignium's peer-to-peer trading platform. And Ignium provides us with a commission of 25% of the fees they charge. That's built into and they do that for everybody. It's not just for us. If you're an issuing company, you issue digital something on Ignium and people start to trade it, you get 25% of the sell side commissions. And so we've actually been able to generate more commissions from Ignium than what we have to pay them every month in order to gain access to the platform. So it's basically Ignium showing that this idea that giving back, it works for companies. So companies can actually make more money than they spend on the service. And it's kind of a proof of concept, and they prove that it works. So are you sleeping on the couch again? No, not yet. I did just get this haircut yesterday, though, so maybe she didn't notice. I don't know. Crypto for Kids, the A to Z by Kevin Murcko. I think I could write that book. Like one of those A to Z. So it'd have to be like A is for Alphabet, where you can buy smack and heroin. I don't know. Probably not good to put. I mean, maybe a 7-year-old. Maybe not younger than 7. By then, Freud says that they're already who they're going to be anyway. So at that point, you can't really mess them up, I guess. Don't take my word on that, though, and please don't treat your 8-year-olds terribly now. Consistency. Yep, thanks, Alex. Appreciate that. How about that quote? Come with me if you want to live. It's not a bad quote, Harold. It sounds very 80s action movie to me, but I can't quite place it. PRQ staking. Yep, IQ protocol has to be integrated first. They famously went and partnered on the BNB chain at first, which, it's Binance. So fuck Binance. So we don't deal with anything with Binance. Like most smart people around the world don't. Maybe we should do like a Super Bowl commercial in a couple years and put a QR code just on a black screen and send it to a website so it crashes. But instead of ours, we send it to Binance. Big up to Coinbase, by the way. Messi or Ronaldo? By the way, I'm vegan too. Welcome to the club, man. Welcome to the club. I don't watch football. I don't watch any sports on TV. I used to play sports when I was a kid, but I grew up in the U.S. And when I grew up in the U.S., we thought soccer was like I can't even say it now what we thought because I'll get like turned off. YouTube will cancel us. But let's just say nobody played soccer in the U.S. back when I grew up. Anyway. So yeah, Messi or Ronaldo, I just don't care. They could both die in a fiery plane crash and my life wouldn't change. So yeah. Actually, I think one of them might actually support have been on commercials for crypto.com or one of those guys. So I really don't like them now. By the way, I'm going to mention this one thing. We're already like past 30 minutes, which I keep saying I'm going to keep it to, but I'm having fun today. So credit card offer. That's what I'm supposed to talk about. Should I just leave it there and just make you guys figure it out? No, I won't have that. So starting on Tuesday next week, and you guys will be notified of this, we are finally having USD credit card deposits on the platform. Rock on. That was a long soon. That might have been one of the longest soons ever. I'd have to go back and look at my soon Excel spreadsheet, but I think it's up there, top 10 at least. Anyway, so credit card offer, meaning that USD deposits coming online on Tuesday. Again, you guys get notified about that before it happens. And up to $1,000 in deposit via credit card will be fee free. So no fee. So that'll save you up to like $50. That could buy, a whole lot of THT or DNA or what else we got that's like penny stock right now. Anyway, moving on. I'm not saying buy DNA and THT, but why not? It's free money. Hi, big fan. How much XCM is enough non-vegan? Ooh, if you're a non-vegan, man, you need a lot of XCM. We're trying to work on a utility right now where XCM actually unlocks the gates to heaven. But being a non-vegan and eating animals means that you're going to have to pay more. But I don't know what the tiering system looks like because Jesus is a pretty busy guy and hasn't gotten back to us. Buddha, funny enough, got back to us. Not vegan either. I'll do enough. So how much XCM is enough? I guess depends on your goals, man. I don't know. That's a hard question for me to answer. I don't know, but I hope you have enough. Prediction on THT coin value, higher than it is today. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Nikki, how are you? I see a comment after, hi, Kevin. I'm assuming you posted something afterward. I'll get to you in a second. Seems more and more banks try to block crypto transaction, at least in Denmark. Never thought debit cards would be interesting to me, but considering the bank situation, how far out is debit cards? Understand, Jens, that unfortunately debit cards are usually underpinned and run by banks. This whole debit card thing has really been puzzling to me for the past 20 years. Because back in the day, almost any company that said they were going to launch a debit card automatically became like people thought it was amazing. It never has been amazing, to be honest, but they thought it was amazing. And for some of the same reasons, to get away from banks. But you don't get away from banks using a debit card because how do you think debit cards function? There's got to be someplace the money sits, and that's probably a bank or a bank-like institution who, guess what, probably holds their money at a bank. And even if that bank-like institution holds their money at another bank-like institution, and somewhere down the line, guess who's holding the money? A bank. So anyway, debit cards are in the works, though, for all the nonsense I just said. Into Q2. Into Q2, into Q3 is when Digital Fiat, our sister brand, will start knocking out those challenger bank stuffs. When the 2-year bond is up, how do we access the funds accrued, please? Cash or XCM? Hey, Nikki. So actually, it's XCM or equity. That was the deals on the bonds. As we come up to the end of the year, probably about 2 months out, you'll get some information from us, which will give you time, the schedule and tell you what you need to do in order to make your choice. So yeah, that information will definitely show up via email and other mediums as well. Hi, Kevin. But you won't have to do anything. You'll like doing nothing will make a choice automatically. If you want to choose the other side, there'll be a process, probably going into your account, clicking a button, to be honest. It won't be any heavy lifting. Hi, Kevin. I have today one tough question. Newbie enters on CM. Newbie has 5K on disposal. What would you advise him to buy? Thank you. This is a tough question for me to answer because I don't necessarily want to push anybody in one direction. What I would say is always be smart when you invest. This whole thing, do your own research. Everybody says it. It's a thing, though. Don't ever take anybody's advice as being, I might have done well doing something. That doesn't mean you're going to do well doing it. And I'll tell you why. It doesn't mean I'm smarter than you or you're smarter than me or, none of that stuff. All it means is it's timing is a big thing in investing. Not only timing, but don't think of timing just like, oh, this guy bought Bitcoin at, 1,000 but he held it till now. So the timing isn't so much about when you get in sometimes. It's about when you get out. In fact, getting out is probably the most difficult timing, not necessarily getting in. If you get in now and Bitcoin goes to 1 million and you hold, well, you did quite well. But if you get in now, Bitcoin goes to 40 cents, you sell then, and then it shoots up to 1 million. You didn't do too well. So all I would say is make sure you do your research, look for projects, look for companies that are doing something that you feel is really going to make a change, make some difference, that's going to allow them to grow, that maybe they align with some ideals you might have. I have my favorites. Most people here know what those are. My portfolio, maybe one day we'll do like the public Kevin portfolio without necessarily numbers, but just kind of like percentage of portfolio. I think that'd be kind of cool. And maybe even having people share their portfolio. Like people won't see the numbers of your portfolio, but like I'm 20% in this, 10% in that. That'd be kind of cool. Anyway, I have some I have KDA, I have Thought, I have Flux. I obviously have XCM. That has to be my favorite. I mean, if it wasn't, I don't know what I'd be doing here. What else do I have? Credo. I'm probably missing somebody. Parsec, definitely have some Parsec. So yeah, I don't want to give you an answer to that question. What I would say is find things that you believe are going to do well. Look at sentiment. Sentiment is a big thing. If lots of people are talking about something, lots of people might be buying it. Agreed. I don't know what you agreed on, but thank you. Will crypto have volatile movement when news release like Forex? Well, the more mainstream that crypto goes, the more mainstream news will have an effect on the crypto markets. We're not really there yet. Non-farm payroll and those type of news releases don't really have a huge effect on crypto yet. They do have an effect, obviously, on equity markets, and sometimes that carries over. But as crypto becomes more mainstream and more institutional money is at play, you can expect more volatility from those releases, but probably less volatility than we see now, just because, Putin farts into the wind as the market matures. Where do you think, I should say, actually, well, I know somebody's farting in the wind. Where do you think we are in the whole crypto age? Are we just getting started? Is it already too late to be early? Well, it's a dynamic market, so I don't think you're ever too late. Think about equities. If you invest in equities today and they continue on as they have been, then you're going to make 8 to 12% a year, just like everybody else has been making for the last whatever amount of years. Yes, there's those stocks that stick out, whether they're meme stocks or Tesla or whatever, that do better than the overall average, but most people make the same amount. That's why the stock market still exists, because most people are hodlers and not traders. In crypto, I would say the same thing. You're never too late. If you don't get into investments, especially investments that are kind of intrinsically tied to the growth of a company or the growth of a sector, and you have this idea that you're late, then you're always going to be late. So yeah, I don't think you're too late. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see the same type of potential gains that people saw 10 years ago or 5 years ago, but it also doesn't mean that somehow now it's not worth it. Please share tips on creating passive income that isn't dividends or staking rewards. Well, passive income is passive income. That means investing money, not doing anything, and getting money in return. Now, dividends, to be honest, can mean a whole lot of things, but investing in business obviously can be passive. You can be a passive investor. You don't have to be making money through dividends. You can be making money through reselling your exposure to that business like a hedge fund, or you could be making money on revenue share agreements. There's a lot of ways to get passive income. You could, own some type of automated business that you own directly, but that is passive. Something like, Amazon drop shipping and those type of things. Not that I've ever been involved in those businesses, so don't ask me about them. But, anything that you can do where you put money down and get money in return is, passive income. And there's a world of opportunities. Thanks for the Ignium answer. So CM monthly participation costs don't include the daily interest given to bond owner. No. That's just for Ignium's cost. Ignium charges a fee on a monthly basis. Sorry, somebody just doesn't understand when someone else can't pick up a phone. So yeah, no, that's Ignium's only including their monthly fee, not anything that we're paying out to our bondholders. The quote is from Terminator 2. Well, thank you, Harold. Appreciate that. Credo or Johannes? I don't even know what Johannes is, so I'd have to go with Credo. Will you be listing PAX G? Might be a good hedge during the bear market. Is that was that PAX Gold from the stablecoin guys? Maybe. We don't really have any plans to do so. Doesn't mean we won't. Doesn't mean we can't. But I don't know. I haven't really, no discussions about that internally, so I can't say it's on the radar right now. Good afternoon, CEO of Coinmetro. Good afternoon, Mr. Gill of Jack. Not sure if this was covered. Is Luna UST native tokens enabled, or are we? Yep, they have been enabled officially, so you can now withdraw or deposit native or ERC based. So yeah, you can withdraw now natively. So no more high ETH fees. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jack. That one was for you. Kevin, for the weekend opportunity, will you need a certain amount of XCM to participate, or is some enough? There will be minimums and maximums. So you will need a certain amount, a certain minimum. Yeah. I got to the end of the question, guys. We're 45 minutes in. We've been trying to keep the show at 30 minutes. I suck at that. So we got halfway between 30 and 60. So, I think it was a good show. I had fun. I had fun this week. Some weeks I have fun. Some weeks I have less fun, but I usually have fun. But this week was more fun. I think the sentiment meter on this week, at least for me personally, was pretty high, maybe 75%. So I appreciate everybody being here. It's the weekend, so spend time with friends and family. If you can't do it physically, do it virtually. Let everybody know who your favorite exchange is. Obviously, that's Coinmetro. Why would it not be? Make sure they know that XCM, is like Coca-Cola. Everybody likes it. I don't know if everybody likes Coca-Cola, but everybody definitely likes XCM. Never find anybody that doesn't like XCM, except for that one guy. But we're not going to talk about him. And tag me on Telegram if you want to have a chat or ask a question, or if I missed your question somehow at Kevin Murcko. You can hit me up on Discord. Still trying to get my hands around Discord, though. That's Kevin Murcko, servers 8888, I think. And you can also find me on Twitter at Kevin Murcko, because that's who I am. I don't hide behind a weird name or an NFT. I might hide behind an NFT one day, but it'll probably be a big forehead or a bald guy. So, same thing. Have a great one. See you guys tomorrow on the Crypto Connoisseur Show, if you're so inclined. Thanks everybody for all the support as always. See you here next week. By the way, next week's show is coming from Mexico, so you'll see a different background. Or maybe I'll fool you and take a picture of this background and green screen it. That might be weird. Maybe I'll do that.